and welcome to the show. I'm Dana Divine. It's my music. We're going to get that right, I promise you. I want to thank you for watching. The Metropolitan Chicago Breast Cancer Task Force is sponsoring this next half hour. You know, the task force is a non-profit organization, and we're in the business of free mammograms, my favorite four-letter word. Free mammograms for uninsured women, underinsured women, or simply unsure women in the Chicagoland metropolitan area. If you need us, we're here for you. You can call us right now, 312-942-3368, or visit chicagobreastcancer.org. We are waiting on you. And we have a bilingual navigation team for our Latina sisters. Don't hesitate to call us right now if you need us. This show is dedicated to raising awareness about breast cancer, and we want to eradicate the breast cancer disparities between black and white women right here in Chicago. We're saving lives one woman at a time through awareness and prevention. Did you know that here in Chicago, African American women die 157% more often than white women their age? Awful. And did you know that 80% of the time lumps found are benign? So that means you may be worried about nothing. So schedule an appointment today if you don't have any insurance. No worries. Call today this Metropolitan Chicago Breast Cancer Task Force, 312-942-3368, or info@chicagobreastcancer.org. Hey, if you want to support women's health initiatives in your community, because women of color in Chicago are disproportionately affected by breast cancer because of unequal access to high quality care. If you want to get involved, well, you need to get involved. But if you want to support women's health initiatives, give us a call, 312-942-5599. I'm going to say that again, 312-942-5599. You know, your voice does matter. The weather is warmer, the days are longer, the summer is here, and as you fuel up your barbecue grills and put on your swimsuits, don't forget to schedule your annual mammogram screenings. I say the rule of thumb is your birthday month, schedule all your routine appointments, your annual physical, your annual pap smear. If you're over 40, your annual mammogram. If you're under 40, you should still be going to the doctor for your annual examinations. Be self-breast aware and definitely know your family's history. It's 2019. No more excuses. Don't deny. What? Verify. You hear me say that all the time. We're a call-in show. If you want to join the conversation right now, call in 312-738-1060. 312-738-1060. So today, you get to meet another shero. It's my favorite word. A survivor, someone who knows what it means to fight for your life. You know, I love that every guest that comes on this show has a different perspective, a different testimony, a different purpose, but they still deliver one crystal clear message, and that is early detection saves lives 99% of the time. Don't deny, verify. Today we're talking to the beautiful Jennifer Bridgeforth. She's a best-selling author, a motivational speaker, and she desires to inspire people and remind them that anything is possible. In 2016, Jennifer was diagnosed with breast cancer, but breast cancer has only strengthened her, and she is resolved to be a champion of greatness in any circumstances. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Jennifer Bridgeforth. She arrives just in time. Hi, gorgeous. We practiced that for 20 minutes before we started this. Just kidding, just kidding. You did so well, Jennifer.
Thank you so much.
Very good. You're such a professional. I love it. So, Jennifer.
Yes.
You know, I just feel like your testimony might be the most important thing you ever share with anybody about anything.
Yes.
And your walk may inspire somebody right there who just may be in the same shoes. So today I want you to share with Chicagoland women and men and young girls and boys your testimony. So let's start from the beginning. Let's talk to me, Jennifer. What happened?
Yes. So I was diagnosed in 2016, and the interesting part is that I was one of those people who was very meticulous about self-breast exams and about getting a mammogram. I did it every year for my birthday month in August. And yes, so I did it every year. My mom actually was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1995. So because of that, I started early. I think I did my first mammogram at 36 or 37. So I didn't even wait until I was 40 in order to get started. And the interesting part is, had my mammogram in August, noticed something in October of the same year, and already had the discovery of a tumor that quick. And I had just had a mammogram about 90 days prior to that. So it was funny because I was just in the shower doing my regular self-breast exam that I do once a month. And I thought, well, that's not possible because I just had a mammogram.
Right.
Just had it in August. And when they told me that I was positive and actually that it was cancerous, I was floored, but I was also relieved because I caught it early enough because of the fact that I had been so meticulous about self-breast exams and because I was so meticulous about my mammograms. Clearly, it was a very fast-growing cancer, and I got to it in time. I got to it so quickly, and that was something that really helped me feel more comfortable about the battle that I was unsure of, but that I knew I was about to take on.
Now, your mom had been diagnosed in 1995. Did she catch it early?
She did.
So
she did.
She at this time she was still a positive living role model.
Yes, absolutely. She was in remission for over 20 years. So she was a wonderful example of what you could do to champion that situation even after it had been identified. And she really didn't let it define her. And she still did wonderful things, and she was an amazing woman and an amazing inspiration. But because of what I saw her go through, I wanted to make sure that I was being proactive about not putting my head in the sand about the same thing.
So I heard you say, that really the time between the first, your last mammogram and your discovery was 3 months. And I just want to chime in and say, I too had been in July and discovered it in the shower in October.
Wow.
And found just a little knot and thought the same thing. Oh no, it's impossible because I just had a mammogram. What is the message, ladies? You have got to, well, that's why going every year makes a difference.
Yes.
Because if you still had, you obviously found something within 3 months.
Right.
If you had maybe waited for the annual exam, which would have been another 9 months.
That would have been another 9 months.
It would still be considered early.
Right.
But if you are self-breast aware, then you catch it in 3 months.
Right.
Now, if you're going to wait for the doctor, then you definitely need to go every year because your situation changes daily.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so when you were diagnosed, how did you get that call?
Oddly enough, I had gone to the doctor for something completely unrelated. I have very sensitive skin, and I was breaking out on my arm from something that I was using for a mosquito bite. And when I told my doctor that I'd felt something, she said, okay. So we'd already had the biopsy, and then they had sent that off to, I believe, Cleveland Clinic, if I'm not mistaken. And I was there to get something to put on for this allergic reaction I was having on my skin. It just so happens that while I was there, the facts came in, and the results came in that day. Yep. And I was so surprised. I remember all I could say to my doctor was that she needed to change her cabinets in her office. Because
that's all you noticed, right?
That's all I noticed. I kept staring at her cabinet, and I said, you need new cabinets. And I just kept looking at the cabinets, and she was looking at me like, I'm going to let you have this journey because it's not about the cabinets, but I know you're so upset. Understandably, she was just like, I'm going to let you stay in here and look at the cabinets. And I stayed
she left you in the room?
She did.
She left me in the room.
Because I needed a moment. I had been there for
One thing.
One thing, a mosquito bite. And I knew that the results were coming, but they had said to me, oh, it's so rare. It's like 1 in 100. Don't worry about it. So I had kind of honestly put it out of my mind and thought, okay, I did the right thing. I was proactive about it. I did what I needed to do. So, I can't spend every day kind of lamenting. I put myself out there and did what I needed to do. I was responsible about my care, and then I'm going to go on to the next thing. So when that hit, I just thought,
Wow.
I wasn't ready.
You wasn't ready. Well, what? So when you said I did the right thing, what did you elect to do? A mastectomy or a lumpectomy?
I did a lumpectomy.
You did a lumpectomy.
I did do a lumpectomy, but because I had a mom who had breast cancer and my dad had been diagnosed around the same time as my mom with colon and prostate. So they were concerned about the BRCA gene, so I had to have the testing done for that. And they said, if that comes back positive, then you'll have to have a double mastectomy and a hysterectomy. So, of course, when they tell you that, you think that is overwhelming to try to make that type of decision and to have that level of surgery. So, gratefully and luckily I was negative for the BRCA. Yes. So she said for now, because it hadn't seemed to spread, that the lumpectomy would be fine and they would keep an eye on me and I have my regular scans. And
So you still go every year?
yes,
She still goes every year. Say it again for him, Jennifer.
every year. Actually, I go every 6 months. I'm not even going to lie. You're supposed to go every year, but because I'm just trying to be responsible about it, and I've gotten to the point where I know my own body when it comes to that. So anytime anything even slightly odd seems to occur, I'm calling the doctor just in case.
I do, but I call myself a hypochondriac. I'm not sure which one it is. If I'm really feeling something or if I am just still just so,
Yeah.
overly concerned. But
When in doubt, go.
Yeah, so I often go to the doctor too for every little thing. But I encourage you to do the same thing.
Yes.
Do the same thing. And if you are listening to us and you haven't been to have your mammogram and you know it within the last year, please take a photo of this your television screen right now, 312-942 363368 312-942-3368, or you can go to chicagobreastcancer.org. Somebody is there right now waiting to help you. We don't ask too many questions. We just want to support women and men, because don't forget, men do get breast cancer as well. Yes. Do you know any male survivors, Jennifer?
I actually do.
I do as well.
I do.
Can you count how many you know?
I know 2.
You know 2. I know 6.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that a lot?
That's
surprising.
a lot.
So
Yeah.
Chicago, I don't know. So you said that you during your journey, did you journal, or did you find that there was some new learning curve for yourself?
Yes, I did. I actually, oddly enough, because me being a writer, one of the first things I did was went to a store and bought a journal because I wanted this to be a separate conversation, not in a regular journal, but I wanted this to be a separate conversation about my journey with cancer. So I actually did do that. That was important for me to do. And I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about my tolerance. I learned a lot about my threshold for pain. I learned a lot about my level of patience. I learned a lot about my gratitude, and I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to have that conversation with myself first through the writing, so that I knew how to help other people when they got to that level of discovery.
So share with me one thing that you certainly learned about yourself.
I learned that I am much more patient than I give myself credit for being. When I was in treatment, when I was actively in treatment at the beginning, I remember I had terrible side effects. I was having some really bad side effects, and I thought, I know me because as an entrepreneur, I'm typically on the go, and I have things to do and places to be and people to talk to. And usually I am the person that just says, whatever this is, I can overlook it and I'll deal with it later because I'm busy. And I respected my body enough at that point to say, I might need to lie down today. I might need to have some rest today. So I started to respect my journey of healing a lot more than I typically would when I felt like I didn't have the option of doing that. I felt like this was important enough that I needed to respect what was happening to me and allow myself to kind of regenerate and re-energize. And sometimes that doesn't happen right after that session of treatment that day. It might be that weekend, I'm not getting out of bed on Friday and Saturday, and that's okay. Usually I would be, especially as an entrepreneur, you can't stay in the bed for 2 days, are you crazy? And then I got to the point, but you need to. This is part of your journey to healing.
And, and for entrepreneurs, it can be a double whammy because you have to continue to earn money to support yourself during the time. Just, I don't know how you were able to sit down. Were you able to completely stop working?
No.
No, you had to keep working.
I needed to.
Right.
I should have, but I couldn't.
But you couldn't. I mean, that's just a reality. That's the reality. I couldn't.
Yeah, I couldn't. And I also am a adjunct professor. I teach part-time. And it's funny because when I first started treatment, I had treatment at 10 o'clock in the morning and I taught a class at noon.
Well, that first day, I call it...
That was a bad idea. That was such a bad idea.
Did you find... I call it day 4. It would seem to me like if, out of my 16 rounds, once a week, it was the first day, not, by noon, you were probably still all right.
Yeah.
By the next day, it was like the 4th day where you were just like, ugh.
Yes.
Ugh. And 5, maybe 6. By 7, you're feeling better. You get hit again at 1.
Yeah.
This cycle. So
mine was 3 and 8.
Day, that might have been the best day, really, to teach a class.
Yeah, the first day I was kind of like, I can do this. No big deal.
You're right.
Day 3, when your head's hanging out of Uber, and you're
day
kind
4,
of like,
you're in the water, right?
Yeah.
Day 4.
Yeah.
And I heard you say, and excuses just run high with women because they're too busy. Oh my gosh, they have to keep working. What we hear at the Metropolitan Chicago Breast Cancer Task Force for excuses is just makes me want to cry.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of what people will say in lieu of lumps, in lieu of pain, in lieu of nipples discharged, they still will not go to the doctor.
No. I have a family member, actually, that even after I was diagnosed, she's still scared to go to the doctor. And I have fought her and yelled at her and said, it doesn't mean that anything's wrong. You just need to go so you can confirm that there isn't anything wrong.
Right.
And she's too scared. She's too scared to do it.
Fear is a huge, it's on the top of the excuse list.
Yes.
Somewhere between even women calling and signing up, there's a gap between them actually attending their appointments.
Yeah.
And that's awful. Your lifestyle. Has your whole lifestyle changed? Where you felt like you were living a healthy lifestyle and didn't change, or have you made any changes, and tell me what they are?
So interestingly enough, out of my immediate family, I was the person who was the most serious about, like I don't eat pork, and I don't really eat a lot of fried foods, and I don't use sugar. And so everyone was kind of surprised when I was diagnosed because I have female family members who were kind of like, my diet is trash. And yours is so responsible. You're the one who's talking to us about getting things that are organic. And so lifestyle-wise, there wasn't a lot that changed for me food-wise because I was pretty good about the food part. I do believe that one of the things that I acknowledge about how my lifestyle has changed is my level of resistance to letting go of things that aren't in my best interest. So mine was more spiritual and emotional than it was food-based. So I've even said to some family members, I'll talk or laugh and say, look, once you get a tumor, you have a different conversation about tolerance of certain things and letting go of certain situations that just no longer serve you. So if there was a diet or lifestyle change to be had, it was an experience diet. It was an acceptance of the energy around me diet. It wasn't just food for me.
Which brings me to this next question. And I ask all my guests this question, and I'm doing my own study. Do you recall any experience, any traumatic experience, any loss that occurred 2 years prior to your diagnosis?
I have to tell you, when you sent me this question, I thought, what does this have to do with anything? And then I thought, oh, I did have something that was almost 2 years to the day. I did.
I tell
I
you,
did.
well, not 5 out of 20, 20 out of 20 women respond positively to that question.
Yeah.
And they can identify a situation. I don't know if you want to talk about it.
Yeah,
Can
I
you share?
was going through a shift in living because I was going to do a program in Oregon about turning my book. I wrote a book, an inspirational book about just living a better life. And someone had asked me if I was interested in doing some work and turning it into a screenplay. And I said, okay. So in order for me to have a level of being fluid enough to do this, I had to sell my house. I had to let go of my home. And it was the first home that I'd ever bought on my own, so I had an emotional connection to the house. And I remember when I just said I need to release the house because I can't be anchored in this way to do the work that I felt like I was being called to do. And I called the bank and said, I can't do it. I'm going to have to let it go.
That type of where, yeah.
And I felt
keep you up at night.
yeah, and
too
I
many
felt,
nights.
you know, that traditional level of accomplishment about buying it. And then there was a traditional cultural level of irresponsibility about saying, I'm just going to sell it or let it go. And it was very hard because I didn't have another place to buy because where I was going, I wasn't going to work full time. I was really
Right,
putting
so you're
myself
giving,
into
right,
this
you're
program.
giving up something, and you knew that you were never gonna get
That particular
a thing
space back.
again.
Yeah.
And you're going, it's gone.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you're going to. I mean,
Yeah.
just a loss, a huge loss. So
Yeah. And it's considered
think
stability.
so.
There's a lot of things about it that
Yes.
people think is stability, and
Right.
me being courageous enough, because I've always lived by the mantra of leap and the net will appear. I felt like the courage to go and do this in Oregon was me leaping. So I had faith about that, but there were older people in my family that felt like it's very irresponsible for you not to stay in the house. I'm like, I can't live for the house. I have to live for my experience of what I'm supposed to do. So
I'm convinced. I need you to remind yourself that you need a mammogram. You remind yourself you need a mammogram and give us a call 312-942-3368 or visit us at chicagobreastcancer.org, 312-942-3368 or chicagobreastcancer.org. We're waiting for you right now. Waiting for you. Jennifer.
yes.
What's the most important message that you got a few seconds to tell a young lady or young man right now?
Whatever you have in your life that you're considering to be an obstacle, even if it's your fear about getting checked out, whatever they tell you, whatever the determination is, whatever the diagnosis is, understand that this situation, this experience that may be occurring for you is a comma and not a period. It's not something that actually ends your story. It's something that elongates the sentence. Let it just be that. Dive into it and understand that you're going to learn so many wonderful things about yourself and your story will continue.
And that requires faith, that net of faith.
Yes.
You've got to believe that God is on your side too, and He is. He is. Jennifer, thank you so much for stopping by and dropping those pearls. I hope that you heard something. And again, if you need a mammogram, 942 3368, area code 312. I want to thank our CAN TV family. I want to thank my producer, Donna Lynn Schaefer, Maurice Joshua, our Grammy Award winning producer for the soundtrack, and of course the Metropolitan Chicago Breast Cancer Task Force for making this happen. And I want to thank you for watching. I'm Dana Devine. Now to the next Tuesday of next month at 5 o'clock. Be safe, be blessed, and be sure. Don't deny, verify. Thank you so much.